Here's the answer for day 2, problem 1. Find the domain and range of this function. Let's find the domain first. The domain is going to describe all numbers that could be substituted for x in this function. Often you can use all real numbers, but sometimes there are restricted values. This function includes a square root symbol. You're not allowed to take the square root of a negative number. So that means that the expression inside of the square root can't be negative. Another way to say that is that expression must be greater than or equal to 0. X plus 3 must be greater than or equal to 0. Subtract 3 from both sides, and we find out that x is greater than or equal to negative 3. And that is the domain, written in symbols. Now let's do the range. The range describes all values that are outputted by the function rule. So when we put in all possible numbers for x that are greater than or equal to negative 3, what kinds of values will this square root function output? The smallest value that a square root function will ever output is 0, and then it can output positive numbers. And so our range is that f of x must be greater than or equal to 0. This square root function can output 0 or any number greater than 0. Day 2, problem 2. Solve the quadratic equation by factoring. So we want to factor this trinomial. Trinomials factor into a binomial times binomial pattern. X times x creates the x squared term. To create the last term, negative 14, we need a pair of numbers that multiply together to make negative 14. It could be 1 times negative 14. It could be negative 1 times positive 14. It could be 2 times negative 7, or negative 2 times positive 7. These are the 4 possibilities of pairs of numbers that multiply to negative 14. The middle term is negative 13x, so we want our two numbers to combine together to negative 13. This first possibility will do that. So we want to include a positive 1 and a negative 14 in our parentheses. So let's put plus 1 here and the minus 14 there, or vice versa. So here's our factored form, and this is equal to 0. Solving the first factor, we find out that x is negative 1, because negative 1 plus 1 makes 0. Or, solving the second factor, we would find out that x is 14, because 14 minus 14 is 0. So here are our two solutions for x.